Snails are probably not the reason you'd want to visit a zoo, but this is exactly why I want to talk about them. I'm making a few videos exploring the work zoos do to help animals, and this one is about my trip to London Zoo to learn about the tiny Partula snail that went extinct in the wild and has had people around the world spending the last 40 years trying to save it. When I rudely asked the zoo's ectotherm manager, Sam, why do people care so much about snails, his answer had a much bigger history than I anticipated. He said the story began with a snail the size of my hand, the East African giant land snail, which was introduced to the French Polynesian islands, but they quickly began eating up all the local crops. So to control them, the government introduced a predator, but that predator was another snail, the rosy wolf snail. The plan backfired. The rosy wolf ignored the giants, which were too big to eat, and instead hunted the smaller native Partula snail until the Partulas went extinct in the wild. The only survivors were the Partulas that were previously being studied and taken into zoos. Thing is, rewilding them is tricky. The areas that they get put back in are small and can be destroyed by things like trees falling on them. Plus, there's the threat of predators like the rosy wolf snails finding them again. It took decades before the right method of reintroduction was found and before the predator numbers dropped enough for releases to even be possible. And tracking the success of this is surprisingly simple, so researchers just paint the shells. This makes it way easier to find snails in a forest, and basically if they later find unpainted ones, it means new generations are being born in the wild, which as of 2019 has happened. There has been a successful reintroduction of a Partula species back into the wild. Now, I think this story is so impressive to me because, like most people, and this is not nice to say, but I have a hierarchy of importance for animals. I tend to care more about the well-being of animals like gorillas than something small like ants or snails. Sitting with Sam made me appreciate the work he and others have done fighting for species that most of us would never even notice. I've made a full video about my visit where you can hear Sam's telling of his story with all the details I haven't been able to include here, so please go and watch it. And now, hopefully, you know a little bit more about snails.